This is the third call this week where I heard the same three sentences word for word. I'm eating clean, I'm working out 5 times a week, and the scale just won't budge. If you're a woman over 40 and this just felt like it called you out, good, because it's not a discipline issue. It's not your willpower. It's these big three mistakes that no one warned you about, and every generic meal plan on the internet just makes them worse. So watch this video all the way through to the end because I'm handing you the exact protocol I charge my clients for free. Let's go. All righty, let's talk about it. 3 things women 40 plus get wrong about fat loss, right? And this is from doing this for years and years, 8+ years, coaching women, understanding things like hormones, your metabolic health, things like calories in versus calories out, doing bodybuilding shows, working in the medical field, all of these things. And this is what I see people get wrong. The big 3: food. Healthy food does not translate to your goal weight. And we'll go through that and what that actually means. Number 2 is going to be labs, normal versus optimal, right? And how do you know what's optimal versus how do you know what's normal? And then number 3, activity. Moving does not necessarily guarantee you a deficit. So we're going to go through the math because God knows I'm not a very mathematical person, but it's helpful to see and understand from this perspective. So healthy eating is not eating towards your goal. I would say the top thing that I talk to women about on a daily basis: I eat healthy, Zach. I choose all the right foods. I'm eating organic. None of that really matters, right? Yes, it matters for your health long term. But if we're looking about fat loss, muscle gain, and feeling your best, optimizing your hormones, healthy foods are not going to be the thing that takes you there. It's going to be understanding your deficiencies and understanding your goals and how to get there in a way that involves healthier options and a more intentional eating. So let's look at a healthy day of eating, right? Kodiak pancakes, which I freaking love. I'll do the waffles all the time. Shout out Kodiak. The protein waffles are fire, and some berries with some 0-calorie syrup. 280 calories, 15 grams of protein. Almonds and an apple for a snack, right? 240 calories, 6 grams of protein. Salad with chicken on it, 350 calories or 25 grams of protein. And maybe dinner, you're getting fancy, right? Salmon and veggies with a total of 400 calories and 30 grams of protein. That is only 1,270 calories a day with 76 grams of protein. Now, depending on your goal, your age, your weight, your height, your metabolism, your BMR, your hormones, all of those things matter specifically for women over 40. For men, it's a little bit different because there's different hormones that track throughout the day. But for women, this is so important to understand. That is too low. That is not enough calories. Your body is going to start to hold, especially after 40, as you get into perimenopause and menopause. Your body needs enough calories to actually show up and work for itself. On top of that, 76 grams of protein is not enough for someone who's looking to build muscle and lose fat. So even though this is considered healthy eating, this is why I see people stuck. Not to mention the fact that I don't see much in terms of carbs here. People are scared of carbs. And let me tell you, once you unlock the secret of what carbohydrates really do, your life will change forever, especially around workouts and muscle building. Your energy, your body, your hormones, you need carbohydrates. So this is just not enough and your metabolism is going to crash and burn. So the rule after 40, this goes for clients, this goes for non-clients. If you're just trying to make better decisions, 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per body weight, per goal body weight, right? Let's say I want to weigh 150 pounds. 150 grams of protein is a lot of protein. I'll give you that for someone who's eating 60 to 70 grams a day. Once you get up to 150, you're going to notice you're going to feel better. Your hormones are going to be more aligned. If you still have your cycle is going to be a little bit less intense, a little more gentle. You're not going to go through so many ups and downs throughout the day. You're going to feel full for longer as well. So getting to that 150 grams is so important. When I was doing my bodybuilding shows, I was around 200-ish grams a day or more, even though my goal body weight was not 200 pounds, right? And so that's for an intense athlete. We are living in a world where protein is getting shoved down people's throats, right? You need to have protein. You need to have protein. The reality is, if you're working out 3 to 4 times a week and you are taking care of yourself, looking to build muscle, lose fat, you don't need excess of protein. You just need, even just 0.8 is going to be good for you if you're working out 3 to 4 times a week. That's going to be better than that 70 grams, right? So good rule of thumb is protein first. If you're hitting your protein, odds are you're not super, super hungry at the end of the day because you're full. It takes more for your body to actually digest the protein. And you're probably going to get close to your calorie goal, which is number 2. So calories second. 10 to 12 times your body weight. So if you want to be 180 pounds, 180, 100, excuse me, told you I wasn't good with math, 1,800 calories. Now, this is not a perfect science or perfect math with this, right? Because if you want to weigh 120 pounds, I am not going to recommend 1,200 calories. But for a general rule of thumb, for the general overall public, this is a great way to push yourself to hit a good calorie goal and start to understand, simplify it, right? If you are curious about what your macros should be, go ahead and go to my Instagram, send me a message that says macros. I'll send you over my calculator for free. The last thing, the fiber, the fats, the carbs, they fill the rest. You need fiber, you need healthy fats, and you absolutely need carbohydrates. Keto can work. Intermittent fasting can work. Carnivore can work, right? All of these things can work. But if your overall goal is to reduce insulin resistance, to lose the weight, to lose inflammation, to lose body fat, you do need carbohydrates, especially if you're active and going to the gym, right? Especially if you want to see those changes in terms of not just losing weight and feeling skinny and looking gaunt, which is a new word for me, gaunt. We don't want you to look gaunt, which is just like skin and bones. We want you to have some muscle because long-term, your quality of life and your life expectancy is going to go up if we have some muscle on our body, right? And so it's not necessarily always a quality problem. It's a quantity problem. How much? I cannot tell you how many people, women I work with, where we up their calories and they're like, oh my God, Zach, I feel so much better. Oh my God, Zach, my lifts are better. Oh my gosh, Zach, the scale is going down, right? And so if you're in this perpetual state of cutting and cutting, starting to get to where you need to be in terms of a quantity is absolutely a game changer, right? And so this is a rule I'm going to recommend 20, 30, 40. This is so important to stay on point, especially if your hormones and cortisol are acting up, right? And so that's rule number one. And if you look at Lisa here, we jumped her up. She lost 47 pounds. She was also dealing with some hormonal stuff. You can see the cortisone gut, right? Whatever you want to call it. And so she was dealing with some cortisol issues and some estradiol issues. We were able to run her lab work, figure out where she needed to be, bump her up. She's a busy mama too, worked full time. She couldn't necessarily crazy eat all the protein, but we got her up to 140 grams of protein easily, right? Easily, sustainably. After a couple months of finding the right foods, it's not that much. You realize how easy it actually is. And then calories wise, we went up from 1270 to around 1650 and she felt phenomenal and she was able to lose the weight and the gut, right? That's the big one. Training was mostly lifting. We did add a little bit of cardio there at the end, but still 3 days a week, 30 to 45 minutes of strength training. And I'm not saying pick up weights, put them down. I'm saying challenge yourself. I'm saying progressive overload week over week and push yourself to the next level, because if you're just staying the same, your body is not going to adapt, right? We ate more and we weighed less, right? That is the goal, is to feel good, to look good, and to be able to go out for dinner and brunch and not feel guilty, not have to bring a freaking food scale. Are you kidding me? Number two, the second biggest issue I see right now that women over 40 are not taking care of is they're looking at normal lab ranges from their physician and not optimal, right? And when I talked to someone today about HRT and hormone replacement therapy, the doctors, at least in the US and in Canada, from the clients that I have, do not check all your hormone labs before they put you on HRT unless you have a very good clinic. Typically what they say is, great, what symptoms do you have? What are you feeling? Take these, we can adjust as we go based off how you're feeling. I don't know about you, but if I'm going to take a medication, if I'm going to take something, I want to understand how my body's adapting to it and how it's adjusting, right? And so it's so important here to understand these numbers, right? These normal ranges, and I'll show you in a second, are meant for anybody in a range of 1 year old to 80 years old, right? It doesn't matter. There's a range that everybody fits into, and it doesn't include optimal. It includes a range of health. You're not sick, right? And so why do I care so much about this? My dad, lost him at 17 to blood cancer. And my mom, I lost her to breast cancer at 21. And they complained for years that they didn't feel right. My mom barely ate, took care of herself. She was taking care of her husband as he was getting sick. And my dad worked 30 hours a day and never slept, didn't eat well, didn't move his body, did not take care of himself. They both died before 50. right? And so I watched this happen as they're going to the physician saying, oh, everything's good. You're good. Your lab work looks good. Boom. My dad gets a huge tumor that pops out of his face. And we realize, wow, something's not right. My dad passes. A couple of years later, boom, my mom, same thing. She passes out. We notice, hey, she has cancer, right? She has lung cancer. And so it's so important to understand not just, hey, everything looks good and you're not sick, but how do I aim to give my body what it needs to be in that optimal range, right? And so that's what I focus on with people. Not so much making sure you don't have cancer, right? That we're not going that extreme, but we are understanding here are the lab ranges. Here is your optimal range based off your age, weight, height, and what you're trying to do. And here's where you are. I can't tell you how many people come in and they've gone to their doctor, did not explain their blood work, but just said, hey, everything looks normal. Nothing's going on in the blood work. And their estradiol or their FSH and LH or their testosterone or their cortisol is way at the higher end or way at the lower end. And you're telling me that somebody, let's say for cortisol, right? Somebody coming in at a 24 is the same as somebody who's at a 10 is the same as somebody that's at a 4. There is no freaking way. There is no way you will notice those changes in your body. You will feel like a zombie at the higher or the lower end. You will feel exhausted, frustrated, burnt out, wired, and so lost because no one's talking to you about this kind of stuff, right? So normal is not what we want. We want optimal. We want you feeling your best, very best. And that's what's important here. Once we start to look at functional lab work, right? There's lab work to understand if we're sick for your annual physical. And then there's functional lab work to make sure you're functioning at the highest capacity of where you are, right? And so what we really look at, we want to look at a couple different systems in the body. So your doctor typically will run TSH, which has to do with your thyroid. Your thyroid helps with your metabolism. It helps with burning calories. It helps with telling your body it's the control center of your body when it comes to your metabolism, right? But that's only one piece, the TSH. You also want to look at T3 and T4, which is how it's producing and how it's converting to make sure your body's actually doing its best to burn the calories we need. I just talked to the girl earlier today. Her T3 or T4, one of them was perfect, but her TSH was way too high. So that made us understand, okay, it's not an uptake issue. It's not your body's not uptaking. It's the production issue. It's a production from your TSH from your thyroid that we're having an issue on, right? And it was within normal range, but her body has been so slow to move before she signed on. Now we understood here's a protocol we can take holistically and naturally to start to slowly lower that back down. With thyroid, there's natural things like selenium that will help to actually activate your thyroid and get it back into that range where we want it, right? The second thing is fasting insulin and your A1C, right? This has to do with how your body is breaking down carbohydrates. If your body's not able to utilize carbohydrates correctly, or if you're insulin resistant, you are not going to lose weight the same you would if your body can utilize carbohydrates efficiently for energy, right? And so that's where this idea that carbohydrates have become bad, that they store as fat. Sure, carbs do store as fat if you don't use them. Sure. But if your body's not set up to actually use them, then all they're going to do is store as fat. And you can't just keep stripping away because guess what? Your body runs on carbohydrates, right? You run on glycogen and energy, right? So we need those things. The next one is testosterone and SHBG. I always talk about this with my clients like pizza because I love pizza, but there's a couple different testosterone channels that we look at. So free testosterone is the full pizza that your body creates. So it's all the slices. Then we look at, total is the full pizza. Free testosterone is the actual amount of pizza that you're eating. And then your hand that's taking that pizza and putting it in your mouth, I hope you're not too hungry with watching this, is SHBG, which is sex hormone binding globulin. And that has to do with how the testosterone is shuttled and utilized into your body. If one of those are off, you can have symptoms and signs of holding on to water weight, holding on to fat, chin hair, acne, PCOS-like tendencies, anything like that can come from testosterone. And testosterone is one of the big things they check for PCOS, right? And PMOS, as it's now called, right? The next one here is cortisol. This is the stress hormone. I can't stress this enough. This one's really important. And whether you're over or below, you're going to have varying symptoms. Not a lot of people I work with are right in the middle when they come to us, right? And so cortisol is like your alarm clock for your body in the morning. It should be the highest in the morning, and then it slowly goes down until the nighttime where your melatonin cycle takes over and you get ready for bed. So if you're waking up with very low cortisol, it's like your body's ready to go back to sleep. Or if you have super, super high cortisol, By the time you get ready for bed at night, you're like fried, but you're not tired, right? And so this is a big one to understand. How can our daily habits start to fix this? And the last one that we really like to look at that most physicians won't test, even if you beg them, is FSH and LH. And this is the other side of the hormones. This is what your pituitary does, releases the signals to your ovaries to, hey, produce hormones, produce estradiol, produce testosterone, right? If your pituitary is not signaling correctly, then it's a signaling issue and it's not actually an ovarian issue, right? And so it's very important to understand these. This is another marker that people look at to understand PCOS or PMOS tendencies based off the ratio, right? But the whole point here, I call these the secret five, right? Most doctors, even if you beg them, your primary will send you to your endo. Your endo will send you to OB. Your OB will tell you, no, sorry, your insurance won't cover it. You got to pay out of pocket. And then even if you do get them tested, the doctor is going to say, they change throughout the month, so it doesn't really matter. It absolutely does matter. These things do change throughout the month. But if you don't understand the snapshot of time that you're living in, how can you start to combat these issues, right? It's like not understanding the equation and just being responsible for the answer. If you don't have the equation, you can't build the answer, right? And so this is really important for us to understand. The rule for labs over 40, for people over 40, right? And this, I even follow this for myself, right? Functional ranges, not lab ranges. So we don't want to look at 300-point ranges. We want to look at where you are, what you need, and what's going to feel optimal. And then retesting every 4 to 6 months to adjust. There's some awesome testing kits now that can be sent to your home. You can plop it right on your shoulder and it'll test some of these basic ones every 4 to 6 months. And it's so important for us to get a better understanding. We have the technology to do it. Why not? Why not do it? Why not follow through? Why not understand what's happening? What is the story that your body's saying? And how can you understand the direction you're on? Because you cannot outwork a problem that's in your blood. You cannot. You can't do more HIIT classes. You can't work out harder. You can't eat cleaner. It's not going to happen. If your cortisol is revved all the way up, you need to let your body de-stress and let it come down before you start pushing harder. Because I promise you, you're going to go the other way and you're going to start to gain weight, even though you think you're doing everything right. And that's going to lead to more restriction and more frustration. I see it more times than not. People come to me frustrated out of their mind because they are going, but it's not in the right direction. It's the wrong direction, right? And then number 3, and this is my favorite, and I literally just recorded a video for one of my clients on this to talk to her and understand, okay, here's what we're doing, but here's the mismatch. Here's the math, right? And so this is moving more does not necessarily equal a deficit. Now, what does that mean, right? You want to buy a house. You have a budget to buy that house, right? So you save, and then you spend it on that house. It's the same thing. We can break it down weekly, monthly, daily, but every day you have a budget of how many calories you can consume. And that budget, you can consume more if you burn more, but it's understanding how is your body going to get, if you're eating 1,500 calories, but you're only moving 1,000 steps a day and you're sitting at a desk all day, you're probably maybe burning between your basal metabolic rate and your energy expenditure, you're probably burning 1,300. So you're not in a deficit. Even though you're eating a low amount of food, you're in a surplus. You're going to gain weight, right? And the same thing happens if you eat 1,200 a day for the first 4 days, and then you go up to 3,000, right? You blew your weekly total because you were good for 3 days, but the rest of the week you said, screw it, I've been good, right? And so this is so important to understand. If we do, let's look at a Tuesday, right? This is a general Tuesday. If we do 10,000 steps, that's 400 calories burned. If we do a Peloton workout, that's for 30 minutes, that's 300 calories burned. So we burnt 700 calories, but then we earned some trail mix. And we all know you're just going for the M&Ms, right? That's what I do. That's why I can't keep it in the damn house. You're looking at 400 calories up, right? And then 2 bulletproof coffees, that's another 250 calories. And then some almonds plus whatever else you're eating. Now you're only in a 150 calorie deficit, and that's not enough to budget in for the week, right? That's not going to work for you. That's not going to fix. See, I told you it was bad with that. That's 700. This is more than that, right? So you're not in a deficit. You're in a surplus, right? Just right there, you're in a surplus. And that's obviously not counting in your metabolism, your daily burn, right? But still, you're going to eat more than this. You're still going to have three meals throughout the day, hopefully 2-3 meals. And we need to be in honestly, anywhere from a 400 to 700 calorie deficit a day is sustainable. It's not too extreme to where your body's going to start holding on to fat. That's where you want to be. And so if you're not doing the math, if you're not understanding what your body needs, you're shooting yourself in the foot for sure. So doing the math is so important. This is why I don't rely on math in my head or writing it down. I go ahead and put everything and log everything and track everything, not with a food scale, But we have so many tools now with AI and the world we live in. It's so important for you to find the right tools for you to be able to understand the data. It makes no sense not to. And muscle, like if we talk about muscle, it's such a lever here in helping to actually burn more calories. So if we do a 45-minute cardio session, we're maybe burn 300 calories. If we do a 45-minute strength session, we maybe burn 250 calories. So less calories, but you're building muscle, right? And walking 8,000 steps, that's about what, 350 calories with no recovery cost. When we build muscle, our metabolism starts to raise because it has to take care of that muscle. It has to replenish it, rebuild it. So you can eat more calories. You can burn more calories throughout the day, even just having more lean muscle on you. And you're going to feel better than just doing cardio all the time, right? And so it's so important to understand why you need to put on lean muscle, not to mention all the other amazing side effects like living healthier, being happier, being able to lift your kids, being able to chase after your grandkids, feeling good about yourself, looking in the mirror, feeling confident, right? All of those things. But a strength training session is going to be a long-term investment. A cardio session is going to be a short-term investment, right? And so what I always recommend is reversing the order and focusing on strength training first. So we do 3 to 4 strength training sessions a week. Keep them short, sweet, to the point, 30, 45 minutes total, whatever you have access to. Body weight, go to the gym, dumbbells at home. I've heard some people with dumbbells at home. I promise you, you can do it. Walking 7 to 10K daily. This is NEAT is like non-energy. It has to do with your energy expenditure that's not at the gym, right? This is basically your day-to-day energy expenditure through walking, through fidgeting, through all that kind of stuff. If we can increase the amount of calories you're burning daily, you're going to see exponential results. And then cardio 1 to 2 times a week max. If you're eating correctly and you're exercising, you're focusing on strength, walking, and then cardio, you might not even need the cardio. You might see drops without it, right? And so strength first, cardio last. We want to build as much muscle as possible and keep you feeling strong and healthy rather than making you feel weak and gaunt, as we're going to use that new word, gaunt. So this is absolutely awesome. And so what I love this, I coined this reset, the hormone reset, right? It's read your labs, functional, not the lab range. Educate yourself on each marker. It's great for me to explain it to you or your doctor to explain it to you, but if you know what you're looking at, your life is going to be so much easier because you know how to adjust, right? And so the education is massive. Strategize your food. Nutrition is so important. So strategize your food, your training, your subs, making sure everything is not just done and built, but make it easy. Why you want to make it hard? If you want to go to the gym at 5 a.m, why not put out your clothes, put out whatever you need to take with you to the gym, put it in the car already, get a pre-workout shake already made so you have it in the fridge, you can grab it and go, right? Don't make things hard for yourself. Set yourself up to strategize for success. Execute weekly with a coach is best because you have someone looking at the data and telling you exactly what to do, but still executing weekly so that you have this information and data on a weekly basis will help you to understand, hey, did I go far off or am I right in the right place? Because once you find a good groove, boom, it's easy to stick with, right? And then T is test again in 4 to 6 months. Levels change, your body changes, right? Hopefully numbers improve. That's the goal. So if we can fully understand the data and the actions we're taking, it's very easy to go back and look at what was I doing this week when I felt my best, I looked my best. Boom. Where were my markers at when I looked my best and felt my best? Boom. Keeping that information with you is, or at least top of mind, is so important because then you can get into a rhythm of finding what feels best. I'm a psychopath. I put my freaking grocery list and everything right in the fridge so I know exactly what to eat throughout the day, how many calories I have extra. I have all my workouts planned out. I have this stinking ring that helps me with all of the data, sleep, energy expenditure, weight, even temperature. I'm working on the sleep part. It just tells me I sleep like crap. So, working on that. But having that data brings intentionality around things rather than, hey, I want to lose 15 pounds. I'm just going to eat less, maybe have a salad every once in a while and go for a walk here and there. There's no strategy there. There's no path forward. This is a path forward. This is understanding. And it seems like a lot, right? But once you build the system together, it's beautiful. It functions. It works. And then guess what? You're in control of your body. You don't have to guess or try to figure it out, right? And so if this landed and this feels like something that could be helpful for you and you don't want to figure it out for yourself, that's what we do. That's what we have been doing. We have lab partners throughout the US that we can go get your blood work tested. We work with you one-on-one to make sure you build the habits and actually understand what to eat, when to eat it, how to work out, what exercise to do, how to get to where we want to get to. And we care. We give a shit, which, excuse my French, which you can't say when you go into a doctor and you ask 50 times, and it's not the doctor's fault. It's the system, right? The system is not built for health. It's built to keep you not sick, right? And so if you're tired of not being sick, but if you're tired of not feeling your best, you know you deserve better. All you have to do is follow this system to a T. And I promise you, give it 6 to 8 weeks and you'll notice drastic differences right away. Once you see those drastic differences, it's about compounding and compounding. All of a sudden, that momentum starts to build and build. It does so much for you. All of a sudden, your budget in the bank is massive and you know exactly what actions you need to take. So if you made it this far and you want to chat with me and my team, I put a link below so you can go ahead and book a call. If you have questions, DM me on Instagram. I'm happy to give you more free resources, give you my macro calculator, give you the meals we do weekly. I put out so much free stuff because this should not be crazy difficult. This is something that we should be taught. We should learn, just like taxes. We should learn and we should be able to figure out for ourselves. So if you're here, I'm proud of you for following through, listening to yourself, striving for a new and better you. And I'm always here to help no matter what you need.